Mike. Pete. Full house. Yeah. I-O. You're on mute, Mike. I'm not hearing you. Everyone's muted when they enter, so just to let you know.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, I hope. I never know if I'm ever going to get on when I start this thing.
Yeah. I think you guys are pros by now. It shouldn't be too much concern anymore.
Yeah. Thanks for sending that, Jamie. Those everything here, it's perfect.
Good. I'm glad you guys got it.
Yep.
Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, we sent those out early. I don't know why nobody got them. I mean, yesterday was a holiday, but that shouldn't have delayed your mail that much.
I don't know. Yeah, the mail. Never know. I'm sure I'll get it in a couple days.
Right. Well, Jim said he got his today, this afternoon.
Oh. Huh.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We got everybody except Rick so far. Hopefully he'll get on in a minute.
Are you guys working from home?
Yeah, definitely. Typically I go in for the meetings just to make sure I've got a secured internet. But because of everything going on downtown, there's a directive from the mayor to work from home. So that's where I am today.
Hey, Jamie, actually, my mailman said that he had this packet for you on Saturday. It's just that you don't get Saturday mail, and there was a holiday. That's why it didn't come today, or I would have actually had it last Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. We were talking. Well, our administrative assistant and I were talking internally, trying to figure out what happened. But I'll continue to send that that link to all the cases. That way we can all have it beforehand, and you can review it.
I just found mine on my desk. Just brought it in like about half hour ago, and I just saw it now.
That's funny. That's good. Okay, well, it's 4 o'clock. I do believe I see Tony Celebrezzi, the assistant director, is here.
Yep.
Tony, you want to go get started? You want me to bring up the PowerPoint, and you want to go from there, or you want to do?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead and bring up the PDF. That'd be great.
Okay.
Wonderful. Jamie, thank you very much, and thank you, members of the committee or the commission, for giving me a few minutes today to bring you up to speed on a project that both Mayor Ginther and Director Messer have been very enthusiastic about embracing, and we are starting down a long multi-year road here to review and update the current zoning code for the city of Columbus. Jamie, if you want to slide down to the next slide or next page. So, as you all know, zoning, in most basic terms, zoning is about about minimizing conflict between users, but it also does so much more with building placement and parking lot requirements and density and many other facets of the building process that help make neighborhoods neighborhoods. And it has been used over the years very well to help encourage development and facilitate investment. However, as we all know also, it can be used for purposes that restrict communities' ability to enjoy the opportunities that our city has through redlining and restrictive covenants and those types of things. And so, Mayor Ginther's concern is that, the city is doing well overall, but there are neighborhoods that are not enjoying or having access to the opportunities that so many of the other neighborhoods are. And he's not going to stand for that, quite frankly. The current zoning code, as we have it, was drafted in the 1950s. Obviously, each year we make a number of little updates here and there based on things that are occurring. However, a comprehensive review of the zoning code has not taken place. So we've got a zoning code that's based on a time and an era that does not reflect the development patterns of today, the diversity of today, and the way that the city of Columbus and the mayor want to see us grow. So, Jamie, if you could slide to the next one. So he's tasked both BZS, myself, and Kevin Wheeler from Department of Development. He's the former planning administrator. The two of us are leading this project right now. But I want to talk about a few things that are leading up to this project. Many of you all, I'm sure, are aware that in the 50s and 60s, the city of Columbus had a tremendously aggressive annexation policy. It started to fall off in the 70s, and as you can see from the graph in the green on the left, in the 80s and the 90s, we only annex right now. We basically only annex property into the city of Columbus when it is already within our boundaries. Such I nickname these areas potholes of townships that are still left over. The the large reaching out into the green fields, the return on investment there for the city is not there. We spend a lot of money on infrastructure when we have tremendous growth opportunities throughout the city, throughout areas in the city that are currently within our boundaries. So, now given the annexation policy as it has started to decline, at the same time, we also are seeing tremendous population growth, as you can see from the graph on the right-hand side. We are on task within 10 years reaching 1 million people plus just in the city of Columbus, let alone Central Ohio. And one of the biggest challenges that we're facing right now, you all may, I'm sure, know, is the deficit of housing in Central Ohio. But Columbus is behind, as is the whole region, in providing residential units. And so we need to take that into account if we want to continue to grow as a city. Jamie, why don't you flip to the next one, please? So as I said, the population is increasing, less territorial expansion. We've got a rising housing cost, and that is facilitated by two big things. One is the lack of supply, which drives the cost up, but also right now we're experiencing a lack of skilled tradespeople to be building these homes. And that's something that I know the director Messer has been working on with Columbus City Schools and other groups to try to add more individuals that are skilled tradespeople to meet that demand. But we also are seeing a different type of user. Folks that are the Generation X and millennials are wanting closer, denser neighborhoods. A lot of them don't even want to own houses. They prefer to rent. They grew up in a time where we had the financial crash of '08, and they saw people lose houses, families losing houses, and I think they've got as a overall group, they've got a bit of a touch a hot burner on the stove once too many times. They don't want to see that happen to them. But like I said, there's a desire for walkable neighborhoods. And the key thing I talked about earlier, just not all neighborhoods have enjoyed the prosperity that the city of Columbus has had for the last 10 years. So let's go ahead to the next one. So in this review that we are undertaking, we have to ask ourselves some questions. Basically, how will we grow? Where do people want to live and work? How are we going to get around? What do our neighborhoods look like? And how do we build opportunity for all residents? You know, my neighborhood, which was built 120 years ago, looks significantly different than neighborhoods that are up near Sawmill Road. And that's nothing bad. It's just the way it is. And how do we apply a zoning code to areas that have lots that are 30 by 70 versus, 70 by 100 or 70 by 200 actually up in some of those areas. So there's a number of projects that are ongoing right now that the administration has been leading the way and working with council on. And we've got the Linkus, which is dealing with transit, working closely with CODA. We've got the regional housing strategy, and also at the same time, the mayor wants us to implement the sustainability plan that he has with energy consumption monitoring and benchmarking and other types of sustainability concepts that will help make the city better. And so you ultimately end up with zoning. And how do we position the zoning code for the future? How do we take how we're growing now? How do we analyze where we're going? And how do we put a zoning code in place that's going to meet those expectations going forward? So why don't you go ahead and next slide. So we've got these different areas of consideration. I've gone through many of these, but a couple to highlight specifically is, we've traditionally been, not traditionally, in the last 5 years, 10 years, we've been relying on variances more so than we ever have. And that's a big key indicator that the zoning code itself is not working most efficiently. So we've got to look at the different areas that are being varied. We have dozens of overlays and special districts that make development complicated, not only for for the customer, for the members of the public, but also for the city staff to try to interpret those and figure those out. So challenge is, how do we keep those protections in place that neighborhoods want to see, but at the same time make them more consistent? And then the extension of that is the public review process. We, working through the different boards and commissions, working through area commissions for customers to be able to do a project on their own land. We've also got to consider what are the design guidelines. That kind of goes back to the overlays and special districts. And then we also have the transit. As many of you all know, we've got they've kind of designated 5 areas as transportation corridors that we are looking to upgrade into, probably add more density along those corridors, but also creation of job centers in those areas that can create job centers that are within walkable distance of employees if they so choose. All of these mixed use developments that we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, we don't have a zoning district labeled mixed use or that meets that definition. And we really need it, because that's, again, we're back to what does the customer want and what are the developers reacting to what the customers want by building what they want, and the hoops that they've got to get through to get there. And how do we make that consistent? How do we provide for that interest from the population? And how do we make sure that it's done right? So next slide. So again, the reason why I'm talking to you all today is this zoning code assessment that we've embarked on. Back in December, we brought on a consultant, Lisa Wise Consulting. She's got 3 or 4 individuals that have worked on zoning assessments in other large cities throughout the country, from Milwaukee and I believe St. Louis and LA. She has actually worked up in Westerville on their major thoroughfare when they did a rezoning of their main thoroughfare. And the name of the street is escaping me right now. I apologize for that. But they rezoned that main corridor through the middle of Westerville to accommodate more mixed use. So the phase 1 of this assessment is going to be a technical review of the whole and entire zoning code. We'll also be looking at the processes that we use. And then we've got to have an assessment of what is the city's policy? Where does the mayor want to go with this? We also have had and begun a heavy stakeholder engagement process. I think we've conducted roughly 80 or 90 interviews with different leaders from the boards and commissions and area commissions. We're getting ready to launch a survey and push that out to as many people and get as much opinion and recommendation as possible. With our contract, we've also brought on 2 local companies that do stakeholder engagement so that we can truly hopefully reach communities that we've traditionally not reached, but also engage the folks that regularly interact with the zoning code. And ultimately, sometime this summer, we will end up with a recommended update strategy. I kind of frame this as we're going to bake a cake. This part is make sure we have all the ingredients and figuring out what order we need to put those ingredients in the pot or in the pan to stir it up to make it. So let's go to the next slide. So phase 2, which will be after we complete it this summer, so it'll probably be in the fall, will actually be the actual code update. And that's going to be a multi-year process. A lot of interaction with area commissions and civic groups and other entities throughout the city to hear what people are thinking, hear what they think is important, and then put all that together and try to come up with how do we come up with a code that's going to be responsive to the interests of the public, protect our neighborhoods, and at the same time ensure that those neighborhoods have opportunities to advance and enjoy the prosperity that our city has been lucky to enjoy for the last few years. So I think that's the last slide, if I'm not mistaken there, Jamie. Yep. So in short, we're in phase 1. It's really much of a technical review, but we've begun and we want to continue to hear from stakeholders about what their thoughts are. And then phase 2 will actually be the heavy lift of working through a lot of different virtual meetings and other entities throughout the city to ensure that we're hearing what people think about the concepts and ultimately put together a code that hopefully moves us into the future. So with that, Jamie, I don't know if you want me to take any questions. I know you guys got a busy schedule tonight.
It's up to anyone who has a question, I suppose.
Actually, if I could ask one really quickly. Hey, Tony.
Hey, David.
So this may be premature, but I know a lot of the long-term trends that you were talking about is about sort of like increase in urban density and urbanization may be impacted by COVID. I know there's been some discussion in the sort of city planning world about this, about whether sort of the long-term impacts of COVID might include sort of de-urbanization to some extent. I'm wondering if it's probably premature knowing to what extent that will happen at all, certainly in Columbus. I'm just wondering if that's part of the consideration.
We're obviously we're monitoring those thoughts and watching to see what happens, but we still continue to have applications coming in for a multi-unit residential in what would be considered urban areas, and even that we have areas throughout the city that have got they've I'd say 30% of the lots, maybe 40% tops, actually have houses on them, and we've got some areas that are heavy that could take much more single family units in that postage stamp, or not postage stamp, that that little green box that some realtors are saying everybody's moving out to. And I don't doubt there are some people that are wanting that versus more of an urban living, but I think I still think there's, and we're going to monitor it, but I still think there's still going to be a heavy interest in having multifamily in the urban core. So, but cool. So everybody, I will get Jamie an email and a link to this survey that I was talking about here later this week or beginning of next. Hopefully it'll take the 9 or 10 minutes to give us your thoughts and give us your email so we can keep in touch with you all as we go through this process. But thank you, Mr. Chair, for having me give me the time tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks, Tony. Okay, Mr. Chairman, so that concludes our pre-meeting briefing. If you'd like to go ahead and start the regular agenda and swear everyone in as they come aboard. I just want to make an announcement that we do have some preliminary matters. The first one is the appeal that was scheduled for this afternoon is postponing, so that's no longer on the agenda. Second one is that we have 2 tabling requests. The first one is 849 East 5th Avenue. I see Lindsay there. Lindsay, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and state why you're tabling.
What's the number of that one, Jamie?
What number was that?
Number 3.
Okay.
Number 3, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lindsay Jordan here with Permit. We are tabling the request in order to put more of a specific site plan together as we receive some comments from the commission and from the staff. So we look forward to seeing everyone next month, and we'll have more information.
Ma'am, I didn't get to swear you in. I suppose I ought to swear tell oath truth and nothing but true self God. And you're requesting this as the agent for.
Sunoco.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to table this?
Yes, I motion to table this application.
And a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Did you get that, Jamie or Tony? Okay, all in favor of the motion to table this until next month, use a sign of aye.
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 Opposed? Not hearing any. It is tabled until next month. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
What's the next one?
Okay, and the next 2 are coincidentally the same address, and I see Aaron Prosper's here. Those are at 56 North High Street, cases 7 and 8.
North High Street or North Hamilton?
Oh, sorry, North Hamilton. North Hamilton.
Okay. Okay, who's representing the Ms. Buster?
My name is Roger. I'm with Ohio State University.
Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Would you repeat your name for the record and your affiliation to this case again so she gets it?
Yes, it's Erin Prosser, ErinProsse.
Okay. You want a motion to table this until next month, correct? And can we
Yes,
do both of these at the same time, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay. For GC 20-052 and 053, 5980 to 6060 North Hamilton Road. Do I have a motion to table these, please?
I make the motion to table these.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of tabling these 2 applications till next month, please use the sign of aye.
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 All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried. We are tabled for these 2 until next month, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going back to the beginning. Is that it, Jamie?
That's correct. Those are all the preliminaries. We can proceed with the regular agenda.
Okay, item number 1, DC 20-037, 5765 Northampton Road. Would the applicant please come forward?
Yes, Chair Thompson, Dave Perry here on behalf of this application as consultant, and Greg Gallus is also on the call with as a partner and attorney for the application.
Okay, gentlemen, would you please swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and then repeat your name and your affiliation to the case for our recorder?
I do. Dave Perry, consultant to GZB Rocco Ventures LLC. Applicant.
Greg, I do. Greg Gallus, partner and counsel for the project.
Do you mind spelling your last name, sir?
Gallas.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who's presenting this one? Mr. Benich?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pulling up the PowerPoint here. "5765 North Hamilton Road is located at the northeast corner of North Hamilton Road and Old Hamilton Road, served by the Northland Community Council. It's zoned commercial plan development. The 21.4 acre site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses include apartments and a health spa to the west, an office building to the north, vacant commercial land to the east and south, and a medical office to the south. The applicant proposes to split off a new 2 acre parcel from the current parcel and install a ground sign and wall signs for a new multi-tenant retail and restaurant building. The graphics plan is required per the rezoning and per wall signs for use not having a public entrance. The graphics plan will be modifying the ground sign tenant panel area percentage and base material, and the graphic area allowed for 2 wall signs, side wall signs. The Northland standards recommend that signage be integrated with the design and development of the site. The proposed signage is consistent with the currently existing commercial buildings and is therefore supported by Planning Division. Northland Community Council recommended approval of this request, and city departments recommend approval. The proposed signage is consistent with the currently existing commercial buildings and is in keeping with the design of the site. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Perry, gentlemen, would you present your case, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The application and graphics plan is as stated by staff. This is a very similar project to an application the commission heard and approved a couple months ago on the south side of North Hamilton, just a short distance to the east of this site. This development site is a single building. The other development site was 2 buildings, but the graphics plan has a ground sign that is shorter and less total area than would otherwise be permitted, but we're requesting to use less than 50% of the area to identify the center, and we're proposing wall signs on both the north and south side of the building. This site has no vehicular access at all to North Hamilton Road, but we have tenants facing south to North Hamilton Road, so there's identification proposed on the south side. And then this particular site will have a system of service drives for access to the rear of this property and also the rear of other properties fronting on North Hamilton. So there's wall signs proposed on the north side of the building also for those tenant spaces. The plan stipulates the area and style of wall sign. If you recall, we discussed this with the previous similar application where there's a uniform background panel of 60 square feet. Graphic area is limited to 40 square feet, and all with the same style of external lighting for the sign. So that's the proposal. Greg or I are both happy to we'll both be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from anyone? Is there anyone else that'd like to speak to this case?
Chair Thompson?
Yes, sir.
Dave Paul.
Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but true, so help you God?
I do.
Would you repeat your name again for the record and your affiliation to the case?
I will. This is Dave Paul. I'm the chair of the Northland Community Council Development Committee. We met with Mr. Perry and his client on October 28th virtually, and our committee did vote unanimously. 17 members voted in favor of this application to recommend its approval. So thank you for the opportunity to confirm that.
Thank you. This is a graphics plan, so I don't need a finding of fact on this one, Mr. Freeze. Correct. Okay. Then can we vote on this graphics plan? It's not conditioned, I don't believe. And since I don't need a finding of fact, what do I need in this case? Anything
Just a vote.
different? Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. Can we go ahead and vote on this then?
All right, Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Mashinsky,
Nobody Rick is on today.
okay, Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Huberman,
Yes.
Mr. Hoy,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it is approved. Thank you, Mr. Perry. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Very much.
Next application is 633 West Fifth Avenue, GC 20-040. Would the applicant please come forward?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just so you're aware, I'll be recusing from this one.
Thank you, Mr. Carey.
Chair Thompson, this is Dave Perry,
Okay.
consultant
Thank you,
on this
Mr. Perry.
application. Also, we also have Matt Wilhite with Continental Real Estate and the LLC for the hotel on the call with me.
Mr. Wilhide, do you need to speak to this case?
Sure.
So I'll swear you in. Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but true self you got.
I do.
Would you repeat your name for the record and your affiliation to this case?
Matt Wilhite, Continental Real Estate Company's development project manager.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Bennett, you presenting this one again?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. 633 West Fifth Avenue is located on the south side of Fifth Avenue, approximately 30 feet east of State Route 315, served by Harrison West Society. It's zone C4 commercial and M manufacturing. The 2-acre site is currently being developed with a hotel and restaurant and associated parking in the front. Surrounding uses include a narrow strip of vacant commercial land to the west and south along the Olentangy River, Battelle's Research Institute to the north, and a senior living apartment building to the east under development. The applicant proposed to install one ground sign along West Fifth Avenue, front wall sign on the 5th floor of the north elevation, one side wall sign on the 5th floor of the west elevation, one rear wall sign on the 5th floor of the south elevation, and a projecting sign for the restaurant along the south elevation. A graphics plan is required per 3377.19, which will modify the required setback for the ground sign from 15 to 10 feet and the number of square footage allowed for the side or rear wall sign. C2P2 state that buildings should not be dominated by graphics, and new signage should be designed to be a logical and complementary component of the overall design of the storefront. The proposal meets these guidelines as the proposed graphics are of an appropriate size and scale for the building. Harrison West Society recommended approval of this request, and city departments also recommend approval as the proposal is consistent with C2P2 guidelines as they are of an appropriate size and scale for the building. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Perry, would you like to present your case, please?
Yes, thank you. This project is a Hyatt hotel under construction by Continental Real Estate, and it is one of the development sites in the very large mixed-use development called Founders Park, led by Thrive, and having multiple developers involved in the various sub areas that were part of the zoning. The hotel, this was submitted as a graphics plan application. There are several components to it. I'm happy to go through each if you would like, but I would just summarize by saying that This portion of West Fifth Avenue is not in an overlay area. It's not in an urban commercial overlay, for example, where there would be some allowances for closer setback of the ground sign. So, for example, we have a very nominal ground sign proposed at a 10-foot setback rather than a 15-foot setback, and that sign was designed after we looked at topography issues coming eastbound from the west under 315 from Olentangy River Road, and then also the building to the east of us is built at a much closer setback than this building. So we were looking at sight lines and parking lot screening and parking and so on to design the sign that is proposed at a 10-foot setback and pretty narrow and only about 8'7" tall, but again designed to identify the hotel and the entrance. The north wall sign is much smaller than would otherwise be permitted, but is very adequate for the hotel identification wall signage. We do not abut State Route 315 to the west. There is a portion of what is now public parkland that was part of the Founders Park development between the hotel and the 315 right away, but it's important to Continental to identify that side of the building for 315, both southbound and northbound. We did some video of that and targeting to show how that would look, and that it's not visible to any residential use in the Harrison West neighborhood. And then we have a proposed very small identification sign on the south side of the building. There is a restaurant in the hotel called the H Bar, and when I initially prepared this application, the H Bar sign was a projecting sign, 5.5 square feet on each side. And that was heard at the first meetings with Harrison West, and then through the process, we considered a wall sign, and we're talking about a non-illuminated, yeah, there it is. Thank you, Phil. Non-illuminated sign with that H bar copy. But I do want to say on behalf of Harrison West that in terms of their approval of this application, when Harrison West voted, the south sign was in the package as a wall sign, as an 11 square foot wall sign. And then there was a decision based on just additional consideration of the style of sign and projecting. And actually the projecting sign has less visibility because it would just be visible to the east and west sides walking around the hotel as opposed to facing south. But there was a decision to go back to the projecting sign rather than the wall sign. So the Harrison West motion for approval was for everything I've described, with the south sign being a wall sign rather than projecting sign. So we would like to proceed with the application, but I told Harrison West I would make that disclosure, of course, about their motion and that change to the south wall sign. So that's both Matt and I are available for any questions if the commission has them, and that's our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak to this case, or are there any questions? Hearing none, then let's vote on this graphics plan and no conditions.
All right, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Cooperman,
Yes.
Mr. Hoy,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it is approved. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thanks
Very
for your
good.
time.
Thank you, Chair Thompson and commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay. 3 is tabled. 4. 975 East Dublin Granville Road, GC 20-045. Would the applicant please come forward?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rebecca Green, and I'm working
Yes,
with,
ma'am.
hello,
Go
and
ahead.
also Eric Elizondo is also on the call with us.
Okay, I need to swear you both in. Swear to hold truth and nothing but true self you got.
I do, thank you.
And Mr. Elizondo, would you please step forward, give us your name and your affiliation to this case?
Eric Elizondo, I'm with the developer Skilkin Gold.
Thank you. Did you, let me swear you in so I know that I did.
Yeah.
Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but true self you got.
I do.
Thank you. And who's presenting this, Mr. Murray?
Thank you.
Going to present.
Oh, thank you.
I'll present and then you guys can add to it if you'd like. So GC 20-045 is at 975 East Dublin Granville Road, located at the southeast corner of East Dublin Granville Road, North Meadows Boulevard. This is within the North Community Council and it's pending CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The site is currently developed with a vacant commercial building. Surrounding uses are predominantly commercial along the East Dublin Granville Road and North Meadows Boulevard, though there is a adjacent multi-unit residential development, Kitty Corner subject parcel. The applicant is redeveloping the site for the Sheets fuel station and convenience store. A monument sign for pricing is proposed at the northwest corner of the site. 2 variances are sought for the monument sign to increase the allowable graphic area by 42% and reduce the setback of the sign from 15 feet to 2.4 feet along Roche Drive and 5.1 feet along North Meadows Boulevard. Planning is supportive of this request. Planning supports the proposed setback and graphics area requested as the proposed monument sign aligns with Northland Area Plan Volume 1, which recommends ground monument style signs and discourages pole signs as initially proposed. The Northland Community Council recommends approval of the request. Staff can recommend approval as the applicant has agreed to replace the existing pole sign with the monument sign, which is consistent with the Northland One Area Plan guidelines. We'd condition this on the exhibit that you see on the screen right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Ma'am, would you like to present your case?
Yes, thank you so much. So this is initially we were proposing a pole sign for this particular location. However, because of comments from planning as well as the Northland plan, we revised that to a monument sign to be more in line with planning, documentation, and staff recommendations. When we did that, we did need to increase our sign area to accommodate the face of that monument sign. So we are asking for a increased sign area. Specifically, we're asking for an increased sign area of from the 67 square feet to 95 square feet. This would allow for the Sheets gas station to go ahead and provide information about pricing as well as a self-identifying sign for this particular site. Also, we were looking to place it a little bit closer to the Roche Drive and to the North Meadows Boulevard. This is a unique location in that it has a service road that abuts the 161 north east Dublin Granville Road. So it doesn't sit right on Dublin Granville Road. This parcel sits back a little bit with a service road in between. My understanding is there will be some sort of reconfiguration of that road, the Roche Drive Road, at some point in the future. And so we wanted to make sure that this sign was visible from Dublin Granville Road. We are asking that you approve our request for these variances. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Did anyone else like to speak to this case?
Chair Thompson.
Yes, sir. Mr. Paul.
Yes,
You're already sworn in. Go right
I
ahead.
had, thank you. Yes, Dave Paul again. I chair the Northland Community Council Development Committee. Once again, we met with representatives from Skilkin and including the lady who just spoke. My apologies. And we did, in fact, vote to support this application with some enthusiasm. The vote was actually 16-0. And so, yes, we appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from anyone? Not seeing any. Then, finding a fact, this appears to be appropriate for this location, and there are no conditions other than this exhibit. So, I need a motion on finding a fact, Jamie. Yes. Do I have a motion for approval of this as finding a fact?
Yes, I'd like to move with the motion that you just suggested.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
Okay, Mr. Bender. All in favor of the motion, please assign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Now for a vote on the application itself. Can you go ahead and do the roll call for that? Who's doing that?
Right,
Mr. Freeze?
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and I believe Mr. Cooperman is recusing himself. So Mr. Hoy
Yes.
and Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it is approved. Thank you, man. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cooperman recused himself from the last case.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 5. Oh, is that one of? Let's see. What were the two tables? 6 and
7 and 8. The other two that were on North Hamilton Road.
okay.
North Hamilton Road was a busy spot for us this month.
Yeah. Okay. The applicant for GC 20-048 5868 Northampton Road. Would you please come forward?
Roger Kessler.
Yes, sir. Sir, I need to swear you in. Swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Would you repeat your name for the record and your affiliation to this case?
Roger Kessler, with Kessler Sign Company. We are the sign company in charge of signage for Ohio Health.
Thank you. Who's presenting this one?
All right, you're on. I'm going to hang up. Okay.
I am. Okay,
Mr. Freeze, go ahead.
Like we got our audio problems taken care of.
Was that Tony?
I don't know who that was. But they're
Are you
all
still
now, so I think
on,
we're okay.
I'm
Tony?
here. It wasn't me.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, fine. Good. I just want to make sure we still had a recorder. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. 5868 North Hamilton Road is located on the east side of North Hamilton Road, approximately 700 feet south of East Dublin Granville Road. The site is zoned CPD, Commercial Plan Development District, and is within the Northland Community Council. As you can see, the site is developed with a medical office building and an ambulatory care center. The applicant is proposing to repeal and replace their previously approved graphics plan from February 2018, which allowed multiple wall and directional signs and 2 ground signs. The new graphics plan will retain all signage from the previously approved plan, but will also add 2 additional wall signs, one each on the northwest and southeast elevations, to identify a major donor. The Northland Standards recommend that signage be integrated with the design and development of the site, and I believe the Northland Community Council recommends approval, but I'll let Mr. Paul address that himself. City staff recommendation is also for approval. Again, as stated in the Northland Standards, signage shall be integrated with the design and development of the site. The proposal to add 2 additional signs to the existing graphics is consistent with this recommendation, and therefore staff can support it. We're not asking for any conditions, and we'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm Roger Kessler again. What we're requesting are 2 non-illuminated signs, one on the, what we call the front of the building, one on the rear of the building, to simply identify the building. Many of their facilities throughout the greater Columbus area are going to probably be named. So it's a destination sign as well as a donor sign.
So what is the sign that's being added, Mr. Kessler?
It's the one under Ohio Health. Can you bring up the sheet again?
Andros Health Center sign?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone that has a question besides myself? Not seeing any. I think this is a graphics plan, so we can go ahead and vote on this one.
Correct.
Chair Thompson.
Yes.
Dave Paul again with the Northland Community Council.
I'm sorry, Mr. Paul. I didn't mean to bypass you. Thank you.
That's quite all right. And the outcome, I think, would have been just fine. I thought I would just mention we did hear the case in December.
Yes, sir.
We are generally pretty aggressive in terms of what we regard as excessive graphics. But in this case, I think we agree with the applicant that this really identifies a use in a sense more than advertises the site and so forth. And we did vote, it was not unanimous, it was 13-3, but we did vote to support this application and recommend its approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, can we go ahead and vote on this one?
All right. Pretty pictures. Mr. Carey.
I'm sorry, did he hear you or I didn't hear your
Carey?
response?
Yes, sorry. I think I was having problems unmuting. Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Cooperman.
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Hoy.
Seem to have lost Mr. Hoy. Can you come back to him, Mr.
He must be muted. He says he's still in here, but
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
And Chair Thompson.
yes, thank you. It is approved, sir. Sorry about the delay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope you find Mike.
Okay. So, number 6. I can find it here.
Yeah.
There we go. 6 is 200 West Norwich Avenue, GC 20-050. Would the applicant please come forward?
Hello, this is Nancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
I need to swear you in. Swear
Okay.
to hold truth and nothing but truth, so help you God.
I do.
Would you repeat your name and your affiliation to this case, please?
My name is Nancy Radke.
Would you mind spelling that?
It's Radke.
Thank you. And your affiliation to this case?
I'm the agent
Okay,
and contractor.
Thank you. Who's presenting this one?
I am Chair Thompson.
Thank you.
We've got GC 20-050 at 200 West Norwich Avenue, located at the northeast corner of West Norwich Avenue and Turpine Street. This is within the University Area Commission and it's zoned R4 apartment residential district. The basically half-acre site is developed, or was developed in 2019 with a high-rise apartment building. Multi-unit residential developments are the predominant surrounding land use, although a park is located to the north. The site is within the boundaries of the University District overlay. The applicant proposes to install a 6.8 square foot wall sign at the entrance of the apartment building. Variance is necessary to achieve the requested sign height of 10.33 feet or 6 feet is code. Planning is supportive of the proposal. The University District Plan recommends that wall sign lettering be between 8 inches and 16 inches. The signage complies with the plan's recommendation and complementary in its overall design. The University Area Commission recommends approval of the request. The proposed signage is consistent with the University District Plan guidelines and is therefore supported by staff with no conditions.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, would you present your case, please? You're so muted, ma'am.
You got me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. As you heard, the current code only allows for the sign to be 6 feet above grade, which applies to wall signs and to ground signs. So we're asking to put a wall sign up on the building higher than the 6 feet because it's 6 feet is kind of really low for a wall sign, and it might be vandalized and not be seen as well. This goes above the doorway, the main doorway of the building, which is going to be just to the right of the main entryway, just underneath one of those balconies that you see in that one picture. And it's a very small sign, not even 7 square feet. And we think it just would tie in with the architecture of the building and just make it easy to see. There's no other signs on the building. There's no other ground signs anywhere. So we ask that would be approved.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or anyone else would like to speak to this case? Not hearing any. Finding a fact in this instance is that it seems appropriate for this location and building. Do I have a motion on the finding of fact?
I will file a motion to adopt the finding of fact.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'm going to use voice vote again. All in favor of the motion, choose the sign of aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Not hearing any. The motion is carried. And we now vote on the application.
All right, Mr. Hoy. So he's gone. Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Mr. Carey.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Cooperman.
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes. And it is approved, ma'am. Thank you. I hope she heard that. We have tables 7 and 8. Is that correct? Is that it, Mr. Freeze? I think that's it.
I believe so. Yeah.
Great. Is there any other business?
None for the commission, no.
Okay, then in that case, I'm going to say that we are adjourned. Thank you. Be safe, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Jamie, can you stay on a second?
Sure.